Hello and welcome to episode 80 of Lesbian Talk. My dear, what have you been doing recently?
Living. And playing
Really?
playing Dragon Age, actually.
Have you killed any dragons?
I did. I just killed a dragon today. Because I thought that I needed it for a quest, but it turns out I need to kill like a little teeny lizard for the quest that was right next to the dragon. So I spent all this time and resources killing the dragon, and then, yeah. I still killed a dragon.
Endangered species. You're an endangered species. You should be ashamed of yourself. Ban this sick filth.
They'll get over it. They were extinct before and they came back, so, you know.
I maintain that that dragons, they breed on another continent or something, and they only ever fly off to Thedas whenever there's too many dragons in this continent. They have no natural predators. They're at the top of the food chain, so that they can breed on. They can breed as much as they like, but when there's too many of them, they fly off to find other places to go. That's why you only have waves of dragons, and they're convinced that they're extinct every so often, but then they come back.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Well, I have been celebrating Christmas by ordering the Mummy trilogy.
How is that related to Christmas in any kind of way?
Because Omid Jalili's in it, and like, he knows my dad.
Oh, well, that's good, I guess, but that still has nothing to do with Christmas.
Well, it means I can sell my copy of The Mummy 1 and The Mummy Returns. I know Mummy Returns is shit, but I can sell them and create space and put it into move the Mummy films into my box set collection. I also bought the 7-film X-Men collection, but you were there and you saw that.
I was there, yeah, I was there for that. Yes, yes, I was there for the momentous occasion at Tesco.
Yeah, you were like, oh my god, it's X-Men Days of Future Past, and I was like, no, wait, this is better.
That's not how I remember that going.
I can sell my old copy.
I actually remember you being like, oh my gosh, while I was looking and being like, I need to get more shampoo. Is how I remember that going down, but, you know, I could be wrong.
Fair enough. Yes, you're allowed to be wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. But so, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Christmas movies.
Christmas!
I'm pretty sure I mentioned that earlier.
No, you didn't. That's why I did Christmas! I'm helping.
And being someone who was not raised Christian, is not Christian, has never been Christian, and was only nominally... was raised in a very Christian culture, but was very... avoided it. I am going to have interesting takes on this, I think.
Well, I have to say that I like a good Christmas special or Christmas episode as long as it's not cloying and stupid. Like, if something's cloying and stupid, I don't like it. But, like, some of the classics, I mean, of course, like Charlie Brown Christmas and, you know, the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and a lot of the Bass Rankin stuff, that's pretty good. So what's your favorite Christmas special or movie?
I want to give a preemptive fuck you to the new Christmas episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, well, you know, but the thing is, you know that's going to suck. Why are you, like, you knew it was going to suck from that teaser that we saw, where you nearly had an aneurysm and spilled your curry all over the floor. And I said, just let it go, it's not worth it. But you know it's going to suck, so why get upset about it?
Yeah, you were holding me back. I was about to punch the TV. It was great.
It was not, because the TV is huge, and it belongs to my brother-in-law. And you were also going to spill your curry all over the place. Just saying.
But, favorite, okay, I'll go for a favorite Christmas special, because I know British TV does that. I'm going to go for the League of Gentlemen Christmas special.
What happened on it?
Well, there was various stories, including a tale of a German pedophile, a teenage boy, and vampires. There was also a wonderful tale of the foul-mouthed reverend woman getting kidnapped by Papa Lazarou, who looks like a minstrel and talks like this, and dressed like Santa Claus, who with his slave race of elves, kidnap her to put her into his evil circus of the damned. It's the League of Gentlemen. Stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as favorite Christmas special goes, I think I'm going to have to say Mythbusters, because they create a really big Rube Goldberg machine. So that's like a lot less rape. I mean, I'm just saying.
Did it work?
Yeah, eventually. Well, unlike one of the takes. They had to do it a lot.
That's cool.
Because it was breaking.
I just found out there's a movie that exists, and you've heard of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians from the 50s.
Didn't MST3K do a version of that, or do a riff on that?
Probably, but
if you know right,
it's a famously bad film. But in 1915, there was a film Now, the plot, I'm guessing, is more sane than the name, but Santa Claus versus Cupid.
For what purpose?
Description: two men in Santa Claus suits are rivals for the love of the same woman. A desperate
Oh.
man becomes a thief on a Christmas party. See, that's boring, but the name, that's genius. I want to see I want to see Santa Claus punch Cupid in the face. It would look like Santa Claus was beating up a child.
But Cupid could just dodge away. He flies.
Yeah,
Santa
he
Claus
could, but
is earthbound.
Yeah, but it's true. But Santa Claus could be like flying sleigh, have like a sky battle. But then down on Earth, Santa Claus punches Cupid in the face, and everyone assumes he's beating a child. And then suddenly Santa Claus is the bad guy. This would be so good.
I married you.
Oh,
Some days
it's not my
I'm
fault.
not sure why. I'm trying to think of like my favorite Christmas film because I do have a few that basically we back in the day we got a VCR when I was a little kid and we just taped everything. Every child special ever where we taped it. And so a lot of the stuff from the early 80s I grew up watching a lot, because I could just, watch the tape of it. So I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously the Charlie Brown Christmas special, because it's a classic and I love it. There was one movie, and I haven't seen it since. And I figured that someone on That Guy with the Glasses would have done it, even just for the nostalgia sake of it. And it was called The Night They Saved Christmas.
I remember that.
And it was so cheesy. It had this whole like eco message about how basically like this guy was up in Alaska with his family and his company was pretty much doing the 80s equivalent of fracking, and it was threatening Santa Claus's workshop and stuff like that, and the kids and the wife eventually had to try to help Santa Claus convince this guy to convince his boss to give up millions of dollars of natural resources and stop fracking the North Pole. And I liked it. One of the reasons I liked it, it had one of the best lines ever, because the kids are taken by Santa Claus to his workshop and shown around and shown like this is what's happening. And there were some eco-terrorists around who were also trying to they weren't working with Santa Claus, but they were trying to prevent the fracking from going on. So the father's company was trying to, get the cops to bust the eco-terrorists the whole time. So the kids come back from having been at Santa Claus's workshop and like, oh, Dad, you're hurting Santa Claus. We were there. We saw it. And he leans down and he ruffles the one kid's hair and he says, you were not visiting with Santa Claus. He's like, no, we really were. And he goes, you got fed, a bad man fed you some stuff that made you see funny things. But you did not see Santa Claus. We know what happened, don't worry. And I was like, that's really great. That's such a really rationalist reply to that. Oh, we were at Santa Claus's workshop. No, you weren't. You got roofied. It was all a trip. You dreamed it all. I was like, that's great.
With that film, the bit I remember is whenever...
Oh, so there was a chase with snowmobiles.
I remember the mother seeing Santa Claus, and Santa Claus has a short, neat beard, and then she is really upset about that, and then she sees that he's got a longer fake beard that he wears whenever he's on duty. And he was like, well, if I had a beard that long, I wouldn't know whether to sleep with it under or over my covers. And I just remember that bit as a child. So I'm going to order this film for you so we can watch it.
I totally remember this, The Night They Saved Christmas. It was really awesome. And there were some other ones that I remember, like we had on tape, but I didn't watch as often. Like there was one, and I can't remember, like someone who worked with Santa Claus ended up selling the recipe for this candy that it was a technology that made the reindeer fly, and they put it into this candy where you eat the lollipop and you would fly. And
that's Santa Claus the movie.
I think Martin Short might have been in it.
No, it wasn't Martin Short.
It was
but
somebody annoying.
It
was some annoying person like Martin Short.
Dudley Moore.
If you're Martin Short, write the show.
It's Santa Claus the movie. It stars Dudley Moore as the elf Patch, and it stars John Lithgow as the corrupt executive. And
John Lithgow is so good at being bad. And the thing is that everything I've heard about him, the actor, points to the fact that he's a lovely, charming gentleman, but he's just so good at being bad.
And Santa Claus the movie, it features the origin bit of Santa Claus is probably one of my favorite bits of the depiction of the character on screen that I can think of.
And what would that be? Because like I said, I only have the vaguest memory of this movie.
Basically, him and his wife, they're living in, I think it's like 10th century Norway or something, but they travel around every Christmas and they just make toys and they give them to children just in the local area. And one day they are found, Close Encounter of the Third Kind style, by elves as they're dying in the snowdrift. You know, they crashed their sleigh and they're going to die of the hypothermia, and the elves find them, a la sort of like aliens of some sort, and they're like, "You are our god now. We are going to create presents for all time, forever and ever and ever." And then
That's kind of creepy.
And then they're suddenly immortal and making toys, and then they have this sort of bit where they're debating over whether his suit should be, what color it should be, and like he's wearing a green suit, and then the wife's like, "No, it should be red." It's like they tried to make Santa Claus a mythic character, or a sort of, it's like a superhero origin story of Santa Claus. It's wonderfully silly, but I like that version.
I gotta say, my favorite Santa Claus origin story would have to be the Bass Rankin, The Story of Santa Claus, because it goes all like Eastern European, like elf kind of, you know, wood sprites and stuff kind of thing. He's actually dying as a mortal, but all the supernatural beings are like, "No, we must petition for him to become immortal, for he has done so much good for humankind." And at the last second, as he's on his deathbed, he's granted immortality. Now, it is stop motion, and some people do find Bass Rankin stop motion stuff kind of creepy, but I always liked it.
Glenn Beck is executive
How did
producing
you go
this
from
movie.
Santa Claus to Glenn Beck?
No, very simple, because he is executive producing a film about the origin of Santa Claus.
Wait, what?
And I swear, it's called
Is he a
Immortal
libertarian?
or something.
Tell me he's a libertarian. That would be so hilarious.
The trailer does not indicate that. The film is called Immortal or something like that. And tell you, this is Santa the Barbarian.
I'd actually watch that, actually. Like, if there was a way to not give Glenn Beck any money, I'd watch that. Is he going to be a Viking? Because that'd be pretty cool.
Pause. Okay, audience. Omega is going to watch watch this trailer and then give her reaction, okay?
But I'm going to edit out the time that I spent in silence watching it, because that's how I can do the magic of it. All right, send it to me on Skype.
Okay, I will. This is amazing.
Glenn Beck presents American Dreams Lab. That's his production. Oh my god.
Daddy, is Santa Claus real?
What the hell? Why is there a camel in snow? Santa Claus doesn't have a camel. He looks like Assassin's Creed. That's so un-American. Americans don't say Father Christmas. We say Santa Claus, like God intended.
You know, I think that film might begin Glenn Beck's process of justifying his existence.
The thing is that, like, why there's like a camel in the snow, and he's dressed like some kind of medieval, like, he's dressed like some kind of Nordic Assassin's Creed thing going on there.
And he's creating steampunk puppetry.
Yeah, and here's the thing, it says before he was father, he says before he was Father Christmas, he was a father. That's so un-American, Glenn Beck, because we don't say Father Christmas in America, we say Santa Claus. Just saying. Un-American. That's so... I'd watch that, but I wouldn't want to give him any money. Like, I feel like now I'm going to be on some kind of, like, dirty watch list because I watched the trailer.
I'm gonna watch that at some point. I don't know how, but I will. Maybe just wait for it to come out in DVD and buy a second-hand copy.
That's true.
You know,
or
that's
like,
how I get around the ethics of the films I watch.
I'm sure Pirate Bay will be back up by then, so... I'm sure someone will post on YouTube or something like that.
Now, there's a wonderfully silly little thing, about 40 minutes long. It's all on YouTube, and it features John Pertwee as a psychiatrist, and he's talking to Santa Claus.
Okay.
And Santa Claus is explaining he's got like dissociative personality disorder and stuff because he's got
disorder.
That's it. because he's got so many origins. And because he's got so many different parts to his storyline, so he's going through his entire history, and it's just a really it's an amusing way to wrap around basically a documentary about the history of the character of Santa Claus, from the origins with Saint Nicholas, mixing in traditional folk beliefs from Russia, from Norway, from England, and stuff all put together. Can't remember the name of it, but I will find out the name.
See, I'm trying to think of other Christmas stuff that I liked. One of my favorite adaptations of A Christmas Carol. I have two. One is Mickey's Christmas Carol, the original Disney one, and then the original, like Dickens was right there. And the other is Muppet Christmas Carol.
The one I was talking about is called The Curious Case of Santa Claus, and you can find it on YouTube. I like two versions of A Christmas Carol as well, but
yours are probably going to be like weird bad ones, where like Bob Cratchit is a slash murderer or something like that, an axe murderer.
I do not believe that version has been made. The two versions I like
God bless us, everyone. That was the
two versions I like are Scrooged, starring Bill Murray.
I don't like that one.
I like them. It's a modern day update. I like that. I especially love The Night the Reindeer Died, and the other one is the one with George C. Scott.
Never saw that either.
It was made in the early 80s, and it's a really good just adaptation of the whole novel.
Well, I like Mickey's Christmas Carol because it was one of the first Disney things that we had on VHS. Because again, it was one of those things that we taped off, either when it aired live or during like the Disney Channel free to watch weekend. And that was just kind of like the first one that I ever saw. I couldn't imagine, Ebenezer Scrooge as anyone other than Scrooge McDuck. And the Muppet Christmas Carol, I think I love so much because it was the first one that was done after Jim Henson died. So it was the first time Kermit was voiced by his son, and that was a little bit kind of touching, because a lot of the book is about a father and a son, Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim.
Yeah. Did you know that Cary Elwes, who was in the not very good Jim Carrey version of Christmas Carol? Mm-hmm. Who played the Dread Pirate Robert / Wesley in Sprite. It's not just for you; it's for the audience as well.
Audience knows who he is.
His direct ancestor, John Elwes, was the inspiration for Scrooge.
Seriously?
Yeah, John Elwes, who was an MP and sort of moneylender in England in the 18th century. But here's the thing: John Elwes was an incredible miser. However, he would lend people money, but he, from what I've read, he didn't demand it back. He would only take it back if people gave it to him. He just didn't spend any money on himself.
Well, that's kind of character assassination then, isn't it?
I suppose, well, they didn't actually... Dickens never said that it was definitely that Elwes was Scrooge. Okay. But he did know about Elwes because he made mention of it in another book. Okay. So that's why people they think that was the inspiration. But like Elwes, he apparently lived inside a house which had holes in the roof, and at one point there was a report that says that he was seen having a fight with a stray dog over a chicken carcass, stuff like that.
See, why can't MPs now be that cheap?
See, that'd be great. But he was incredibly rich. He just never spent it on himself.
That's interesting. The thing that I like, one of the best things that I like about Christmas Carol is the fact that Dickens went around doing live readings of it. Like during his own lifetime, he was like kind of a big deal even back then, and I love that. I love that idea.
Oh yeah, and
today I'm going to be reading the entirety of the Christmas Carol. I hope you've been to the privy. Ready, go.
Well, he would read an edited down version of it, which he himself had edited down to about 4 hours.
Oh, well, still.
In the episode of Doctor Who in season 1 with Christopher Eccleston, when they're in Victorian London, Charles Dickens turns up, and you see part of the episode he was reading Christmas Carol. Whenever the place gets attacked by gas-based aliens that look like ghosts. He's like, "What is this phantasmagoria?"
That's one of the best words in the world, like in the English language. Seriously, I'm just saying. Just saying.
Yeah. And Charles Dickens was played by Simon Callow.
Dun, dun, dun. So another one of the classic ones that used to be shown when I was a kid, but now not so much. I don't know if you've ever seen it, because my parents used to watch it on TV. That's how long ago this was when they were kids. It's called The Mall and the Night Visitors. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't recall at the moment.
It's basically like a little kid, living in like Jesus' town or Joseph and Mary's town, I guess. And he's not really a little drummer boy, but he's kind of like in the area, and he sees like the three kings coming, and his mom offers them shelter while they're looking for the Christ child. And there's this. It was the original one was done with marionettes, but there is an opera that was based off of it, and so there's the live action version of the opera too, where his mom has an aside about, they're carrying all this gold that could feed my family for the rest of our lives. Should I steal it? But they say it's for God and things and stuff, which is really great because we watched that in school. This kid named Seth, who I was friends with, goes, "How come they didn't wake up and hear her singing about how she was going to rob them?" And the music teacher had to explain what an aside was. But yeah, Mall and the Night Visitors was one of the ones that apparently these are really famous marionettes that did this in like the 50s or something. And the parents were like, "Oh, it's gonna be on. We used to watch this. You should watch it." And I was like, "Okay." And then they were like, "What did you think?" And I was like, I loved it because I didn't want to them, because sometimes when I was a little kid, I figured out if it didn't like something my parents liked, then they would get annoyed with me. So I was like, "Oh, it was great. It was so awesome. Yeah, I loved it." Yeah. Well, here's what I want to know, because we have different cultural experiences. What was aired in the UK every year for Christmas, like leading up to? Because I know you don't do Christmas. I know you watch TV.
Repeats, and quite often of what do you call them? Forget the word. Morecambe and Wise.
I don't know that show.
Morecambe and Wise they were famous in the 60s and 70s, and every year they would do these big variety shows, bonanzas with famous people of the day. A bit like the Sonny and Cher show, where they'd have guests on and do things.
Oh, okay.
But they did this for like years and years and years. They used to do sketch comedy and stuff, and they're both dead now. However, every year there's some sort of repeat of their stuff.
Wow.
I'm not entirely sure why.
That's pretty good.
It's just, I don't know. It's like the people who were in charge of playing stuff are convinced that the stuff in the 60s and 70s was better.
Well, I'm gonna confess something that it's gonna probably upset everybody, even more than when I revealed that I don't like the girl from Labyrinth. I've never seen the movie A Christmas Story. I just never got around to it. Every time someone hears me say that, like, "Oh, how can this possibly be?" And I'm like, I was busy,
How could you do it? Oh, you're a terrible human being. How could you never see the Christmas Story? How the fuck can you do that?
You've never seen it, have you?
What is the Christmas Story?
It's a famous movie, and I believe it was done in the early 80s or the mid 80s. Don't quote me on that. Or it might even be late 70s. But it's become like a cult classic, and there's usually every year some channel that will show it for 24 hours straight. Just like Miracle on 34th Street, or It's a Wonderful Life, or something like that. But it's about a kid. From what I've gathered, it's about a kid. He wants a BB gun, but his parents tell him he'll shoot his eye out if he gets one. And he has to dress up like a bunny at some point. His dad has a lamp that's just a lady's leg, and that's all I know about the movie.
Well,
it's a classic.
In the UK, the general thing is that famous shows of the day, they get Christmas specials quite often. And in the last 7 years, you've had all the Doctor Who ones. And, with the exception of A Christmas Carol and possibly The Christmas Invasion, they've all been shit. So, yay. But the thing that's the biggest media-related Christmas tradition in the UK, the longest running, is the Queen's Speech.
What does she say?
Well, the Queen's Speech, it's written out. It's written down by the government, and the Queen reads it as though this is her saying it, and this is her plans for what her government will do, even though it's the government themselves who have written this in the voice of the Queen. That sounds like cheating. Well, it's because the government is technically run by the Queen, even though she doesn't actually do anything. So she's got to read this thing about the past year, and what they're going to do in the next year, and it happens every single year for about 10-15 minutes, and it's basically the Queen's version of the State of the Union, except
at Christmas.
Yeah.
And we really hope that Santa Claus has brought you everything that you want. Okay, goodbye.
Yes, she addresses the nation.
Love the Queen.
She's like, my government this year has done a lot of things, a lot of shitty things because it's my government, and next year they shall continue to do shitty things. But remember, I would never vote for them, even though I can't vote for them because I'm the Queen. But I would never vote for them.
the bedroom tax. Love the Queen. Goodbye.
Yeah, and sometimes you can see that she's really upset with saying the words because she does not like the people in power. Like Margaret Thatcher said that the biggest flaw the Queen has is that she would never vote for Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher, panty snatcher.
The Queen's never done interviews or anything like that, so any information is second hand. But it indicates that she's the sort of person in American political spectrum. She'd be a moderate to liberal Democrat.
Well, good for her. Go you, the Queen. But don't try. Oh, you know what else was good about the Muppet Christmas Carol? It was they had a lot of of course they had original songs, but the song about Scrooge was really good. I really liked that when I was little. It was about how he must be so sad and lonely. That's why he's a bastard. And then everyone concludes, nah, he's probably just a bastard actually. Like Muppets do.
Muppets are like that.
So what are some other Christmas movies that you liked?
Gremlins.
That doesn't count.
Yes, it does.
It's not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean,
it's got a whole thing about the Phoebe Cates' character's like she hates Christmas because her dad vanished on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but
and
that
she
doesn't
hates Christmas,
make it a Christmas movie. It's about Gremlins, not Jesus or Santa.
The best scene in the film is her explaining why she hates Christmas and that her dad vanished. But then there was a horrible smell, and they were sure that a squirrel or something had died in the chimney.
Yeah.
So they got a chimney sweep to get to unblock it and everything. And then a week and a half later, they discovered that the corpse of her dad, who had been dressed up as Santa Claus and had slipped while going down the chimney to try and create a magical Christmas for his children, and snapped his neck.
Yeah, that doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Plus it's set at Christmas.
It would set at Christmas and make it a Christmas movie.
A lot of people say that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, and this is more to do with Christmas than Die Hard.
I am not one of those people. People who in the comments tell us who's right, because I really think I'm right this time. You can't just like baptize something a Christmas movie. It doesn't work that way.
Christmas movie, Gremlins.
Oh. Well, did they show, remember the California Raisins?
I said that's that.
Did they ever show the special that was done by the people who did the California Raisins? With the dinosaurs that go wassailing?
I did not see that.
What?
I'm sorry.
What? How dare you not see a thing that only aired in America?
Did you ever see Elves?
Who's in it?
Well,
is it like
very few famous people. But no, it's not animated. Basically, it's about Christmas elves, which the Nazis are using to create the Ubermensch, and they have to rape virgins on Christmas Eve and they have magical powers and stuff. And you have some wonderful lines like, "Tell me the connection between the elves and the Nazis," and it's amazing.
That does sound like a Christmas movie. See, you know what movie always comes up, in Christmas movie discussions is Home Alone, and I don't know. I liked the movie when I was little, but I saw the sequel at one point in time, but I have to say that as time goes on, I really, really, really find myself not ever wanting to watch it again.
Yeah, I recall your angry reaction to seeing Home Alone 2 on the TV whenever we were visiting Belfast.
Well, also because you have to understand, you guys, that on another channel there was the Red Bull-sponsored Cliff Diving Championships. And there were 2 British commentators on the Cliff Diving Championships. And it was fucking amazing. We weren't even drunk yet. And it was amazing.
Yeah, we were eating pizza, though.
Yeah.
Yes, he's there, standing on the top of the edge. Oh, my, spinning in there.
It was so tight. That was such a tight move. But that's
and I'm not talking about his banana hammock.
But that's not going to be enough. No. I'm afraid he's only going to take third. He's really going to have to try for. And basically, these people are jumping off hugely. This is like in some place in Mexico that looks fucking beautiful. And all these people's like families are there sitting around this like tropical oasis place. You have this waterfall that looks like something like right out of a shampoo commercial. And they're like, oh, he's really going to have to work for this, just not going to be enough. I'm like, he's jumping off a fucking cliff. It was amazing.
And somehow the English guy won.
He did.
It's like,
and I'm like,
there's not much cliff diving in the UK.
Maybe he like jumped off the cliffs at Dover. I don't know, but no. My thing about Home Alone is that I really kind of felt bad for the kid, and I really kind of wished that like his version of events happened, that he wished his family gone, because I mean, you know, you're like, oh well, in the end, like he gets to be with his mom for Christmas, and then the whole family comes back and everything's fine, but he's still treated like shit the rest of his life. His siblings treat him like shit. His parents treat him like shit. You know, his cousins treat him like shit. And the family, like, pretty much emotionally abuses this kid. And I don't know, just for some reason I was like, that really struck a chord with me. And I'm like...
And then Home Alone 2 comes around and they reveal that the parents still have the kid for some reason. And then it all happens again, but he's in New York. And I guess Macaulay Culkin wasn't in 3 because the kid finally was taken by protective services.
Well, no, see, the thing about Lost in New York that I didn't like is just that it was the first Home Alone was good, but the villains had an actual point, but it was too slapsticky. It was kind of like the bad guys from Elfman.
Elfman, which is my Christmas special, which I'm currently editing.
Yeah, it's like.
But I've seen
they were they became a caricature, and I was like, I mean, the first time okay, but the problem with a sequel is a lot of times that whole idea doesn't hold up. Because here's the thing, even bad guys have Second Amendment rights. The first one, okay, maybe they just couldn't get guns on Christmas Eve, that's fine. But, I don't know, I mean, I'm just saying that, like, a child with his, like, little pranks can always be defeated by a gun. Which you can't have in kids' movies, so there you go.
With Home Alone 2, the only reason I was interested in watching it, because I was like, holy shit, it's Tim Curry, I forgot he was in that.
Poor Tim Curry.
And that was... the entire thing. But, okay, I was looking for a copy to see if Elves was on DVD, and it's not. But I discovered there's a film called Lord of the Elves.
Oh, dear.
Now, listen to this description. Joseph J. Lawson directs this fantasy and action-adventure starring Christopher Judge and Bai Ling. When a peaceful village of hobbits is raided by the fearsome dragon-riding cannibals known as the Java Men, youthful hobbit Goben is distressed to find his mother is among those who have been kidnapped. With a band of fellow hobbit survivors, he sets out to rescue his mother. However, pitted against such tough adversaries, Goben will surely be happy to receive assistance in his quest from the giant human Athar.
Is this, like, by the Asylum? Because hobbits are copyright, are they not?
I think this is the film that what came out at the time that the guy New Line basically made the Asylum change the name because this was supposed to be called like the Age of the Lord of the Hobbits or something, Age of the Hobbit.
Okay, yeah.
And so the Asylum took a lawsuit out against them. But it's about I think it's about Homo floresiensis, but it's called Lord of the Elves, and there's no fucking elves in it.
So there you go.
So it's like maybe elves are just less copyrighted than hobbits.
Well, elves, you can't copyright elves because they're like an actual mythological thing. Like their actual concept that predated Tolkien, but hobbits are not. That's why everything ever since has said halfling. Because that concept is not copyright, but I think the actual word hobbit might be. If anyone knows, write the show.
Yeah, I know that Games Workshop uses the term either halfling or ratling.
Boo, rattling is bad. Halflings are awesome.
Well, rattling was an insult.
I used to have, I played D&D a long time ago, and I had a really great DM, and I had a halfling warrior who thought he was just 55 pounds of testosterone in a 5-pound bag. Let me just tell you what. And he had a charisma of 8 because that was my dump stat, so he was like all business, and he rode a war dog because I bought one for 25 gold at character creation. So he had this huge like dire wolf that he rode. And he thought he was just the manliest guy ever. Like, he was like, hey, ladies, except, like, the 8 charisma version of that.
Whenever I played Blood Bowl...
His name was Tristan. He was awesome.
When I played Blood Bowl, I had a halfling team. And because it's Blood Bowl and it's Warhammer rules, the halflings are friends with tree men, which are basically Ents. Don't know why they're friends with them, but they are. So I was allowed to have a certain amount of tree men in my team. And my team did quite well. And my front row was basically all made up of Ents. And so I had a bunch of hobbits and some Ents of playing American football against dwarves and humans. But the captain
Oh
of
no,
the
you
team,
played American football. The shame, the shame.
well, that's Blood Bowl. It's American football, but it's fantasy American
Blood
football.
Bowl. I had a friend who played Blood Bowl.
But the captain of the team was called the Widowmaker, and he got this nickname whenever he managed to kill 6 dwarves in one match. I don't know how I managed this. It was a huge variety of just happy accidents, but this hobbit killed 6 dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas, everyone.
You love it.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to think of other Christmas specials, but it's been so long.
Elfman's a Christmas classic.
Elfman is... made me want to vomit. You were very shocked that the film confirmed what I have long said about fruitcake. And you guys, I was watching this, with a whole bunch...
Oh no, I've seen the trope a lot. I knew that it existed. I'm just baffled by it.
Because fruitcake is nasty. It's nasty. Nobody eats it. And you guys in Tesco, they have it for sale, and I'm frightened.
Because, America, you are the only country, well, maybe Canada, but they're like semi-U anyway, who has this weird thing about fruitcake that it's not just a type of cake. But the rest of the world's like, it's just a type of cake. What the fuck are you talking about? You guys
real. It's like it's a joke. It's like it's made of stone.
Just imagine if we decided that hot dogs were intrinsically horrible and hilarious.
In all fairness, they kind of are.
How would you react though if how you guys react to fruitcake? We reacted to hot dogs like that, and just uniformly we thought this was perfectly normal.
I'm sure the Germans react that way. Dirk if you know, write the show. Also Creature.
Well, it's possible, but your thing just baffles.
Because
it's baffling.
Gross. It's not a real treat. Who eats fruitcake? I see it at Tesco, but
it's based on fruitcake.
I see it at Tesco, but is anyone buying it?
Yeah, they are, and I believe that the Christmas cake is a type of fruitcake.
Which Christmas cake?
It's the traditional Christmas pudding.
Yeah, we don't do that either. We've heard it's like that. It's like one of those things that you hear about in legends. It's like we'd all love some figgy pudding. No, we wouldn't. What's a figgy pudding? Figs are disgusting. Look up the fig wasp and you'll see why. And also fig Newtons are a lie. The cake is a lie. It's not a treat. Figgy pudding's gross. That's what I have to say about that. We don't want some figgy pudding. In fact, we never want figgy pudding. So don't bring some right here.
Well, you may well get some Christmas pudding at some point over Christmas.
I don't want to. I'm sick. I can't.
What about mince pies?
I don't know about that because my brother-in-law has some down in the kitchen. He bought a box of it when he went to Asda, Asda comes to us actually, but here's the thing about mince pies is because I'll go to the supermarket and I will see ground beef called beef mince, and so I'm not too sure, and I'm afraid this is going to be a trick to get me to eat a meat pie.
If I remember correctly, mince pies in Christmas thing, they are not made with they're not made with meat. They used to be made with meat, but not anymore. Now it's fruit.
Well, probably not. Although the pizza place that we get from is open on Christmas Eve, so no fruitcakes from me.
Although, actually, looking at Wiki, some mince pies do indeed have meat in them.
Ew, meat pie.
Well, they were introduced to Europe by the Crusaders in the 13th century.
They would. Oh. That's what it was. That's like someone will be like, "Oh, fruit pie."
Islamic revenge.
Yes, it's a Muslim plan. It's terrorism. Terrorists are trying to get us to eat a fruitcake.
And you guys don't do Christmas crackers.
Well, they exist in the U.S. You can get them. Like my mom got some from Williams-Sonoma. Like you had to order it from a catalog, but then when Williams-Sonoma had an actual shop, she got them, and she would get some back in the day when we used to do Christmas Eve for the family at our house. But I was never big about them because, like, oh look, you got a little paper hat, and nothing else.
That's terrible. You're supposed to get a terrible joke in there as well.
I want like prizes. How Cracker Jack used to have really great prizes, and now it's just like a joke. I thought that like a good thing was going to come out of the Christmas cracker, but nothing happened, and I was let down.
You're supposed to get some other stuff too, but they're just part of the. There was one of the things that over here that you guys don't do. It's like the Christmas hats,
Yeah,
which look like paper crowns.
We don't do that. That's kind of the only crowns we wear are Burger King crowns. I tell you what.
Although a lot of the more distinctive European and British sort of traditions are getting subsumed by the American ones, which I find annoying. Even though I have no connection to Christmas, and I don't actually enjoy it. But it's sad to see distinctiveness going.
I actually agree with that because they're trying to make Black Friday a thing over here. A town near me, I forget where it was, but someone had a friend of mine had it up on Facebook, a video that was taken at Tesco, where people were fighting over stuff, and then there's this one guy that just kind of walks by with like a gallon of milk and I think of bread, and it's really funny. But I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't get toilets that flush every time. Get like personal responsibility for life. Like, don't take Black Friday. That's not a good American tradition.
I find it horrifying. You guys, you have your Thanksgiving thing, and then you have the special stuff afterwards. That then American companies were like, hey, they have no Thanksgiving over here, so therefore Black Friday never became a thing. So let's try to make Black Friday a thing so we can sell more shit.
The problem is that like no one's off on that Friday unless like that's your day off, or you're unemployed, or you're like old or something. Do we really want the old people fighting over things at Tesco? We don't.
Can't we get our own vacuous, insane, stupid selling a lot day? Actually, we do already have that. It was called Boxing Day.
I have Boxing Day off this year because we're closed on Boxing Day.
That's good. Some shops are, some shops aren't.
I'm gonna sit at home and drink and play Dragon Age.
that's when the big sales would start over here.
Well, the thing is that I have to stay until 7. Even though we close at 6, I have to stay until 7 on Christmas Eve because I think we have to de-sticker everything and get stuff ready for the after Christmas sale. But that's all right.
Yeah.
I'm only 5 hours that day, and it's time and a half. So, for waboo, So, any last words on Christmas specials or films before we go away?
It does seem like a rather bad thing to end it after spending 10 minutes talking about anything but films.
It's our holiday special, everyone. We love you.
There's got to be something. I will end it with the movie I'm holding in my hand, Cheerleader Ninjas. Will there be a reference to Christmas? Who knows?
There you go. Of course, I'll probably think of something after we're done, and I'll tweet it, but whatever. But so anyway, now it's time for that part of the show that we couldn't get rid of even though we tried. It's time for Giovanni's trivia question. And Giovanni, are you with us today?
Yeah, boss, Merry Christmas, or as they say over here, Happy Christmas. I'm not really sure why we're talking about Christmas now, because don't know what you guys are going to talk about next week on your show. We kind of blew on your water early, but whatever. But I have to say, I'm very disappointed with everybody. Nobody got the trivia question this week. Only 2 people guessed. So I'll give you 1 more week and then I'll give up forever. Michael Jackson, his biography. He wrote an autobiography back in the 80s. Who was his editor? Who edited Michael Jackson's biography? And you'll never guess. Seriously, you'll never guess. Like when you hear the episode, you'll be like, oh, that's the answer? Wow. I would never have guessed that. So, when this goes up on Blip, if you are the first person to know, tweet at the Omega Geek. That is at the Omega Geek. Let her know, and you will be my favorite mammal after a week. I'm going to tell everybody because people have been asking me, of course, on social media, that lobsters do celebrate Christmas. Yes, I am already red, so all I have to do is put the little Santa hat on. It's pretty convenient. And no, I will not be having seafood. Yes, ha ha ha. Thank you very much.
Well, the reason we're talking about Christmas this time, because the chances are the next week's episode will not go on Tickle till after Christmas, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to be intelligent and clever with the lining up, because if you're listening on Tickle, hi, and this should be going on Tickle on the 21st, I believe.
Okay, so I'll give you a pass this time, but anyway, it's time for me to be scuttling off to my life. My Dream Radio Public, I will see you all next week.
That was good thinking, honey. I didn't think of that. See, I have a holiday episode of What Went Right that I'm working on. Alright, so that has been us for this week, episode 80. I have been the Omega, and honey, who do you want to have been this week? Did you hear me?
John Cage's 433.
What?